No football, that's no problem. This is the Iraq Football Podcast, and we are back for, well, let's call it a coronavirus special. I'm your host, Hassan Bilal, and I've got with me my close friend, Hassan Osama. Hassan, how are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. A bit bored, but that's why I'm absolutely excited to be talking with a close friend of the show, Osama Rashid. Osama, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Salam alaikum.
Alaikum assalam tullah. Osama, so I want to start off just by telling the readers about how my website actually started. Not the readers, the listeners, I suppose. It actually started, I messaged you once on Instagram, or it was Twitter actually, and you were nice enough to interview me. And this was 5 years ago, and we've been in touch regularly since then, but this is the first time we've actually come back and did some more kind of interview collaboration together. It's been a long 5 years for you. So much has happened, and hopefully we're going to discuss it in a lot more detail. But since you're locked at home, are you're in Portugal right now, yeah?
Yes, I am.
How have you found the whole virus?
My family lives in Holland, but we are in isolation and we cannot go out of the island.
Yeah, so you're stuck in Ponta Delgada that you live in, right?
Yes, but it's here safe. There are not many cases of corona.
So how have you found it, like being stuck at home?
It's boring, but I'm now getting used to it, and I'm trying to plan my days to let's not say survive, but
okay, hang on.
It's not easy.
I need some ideas. What have you been doing? What's your day look like? What's the schedule?
In the morning, we have training online with the whole team.
You have training online. How does that work?
It's an application. It's called Zoom. Do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, we use that, and the whole team is doing the training online, and the coach gives our physical coach gives us training.
So is it like stuff like body weights, or are you doing like kick-ups or passing against the wall, or what?
It's all body weight and many squatting and push-ups and burpees.
Right.
Tough. It's very tough. It's about 15 minutes we do it, and then after that session we go out for a run. Everyone goes alone, or we can go also do the bicycle.
Right. So what do you miss the most about football?
Touching the ball.
Have you been doing any ball work at home then?
Yes, I try to touch, to get the feeling of the ball. But it's difficult because alone, it's for that you need your teammates, and it's different, but it helps a bit.
Yeah, I'm sure it gives you at least something to keep you going. Hassan, what about you? How have you been coping with this? I'm guessing you've not been as intense as Osama's been.
No, not quite as intense. No Zoom trainings for me. Yeah, I mean, like the whole world's shut down. It's same in Canada. Everybody's in quarantine. No work, no nothing. Just sitting at home, bored, trying to deal with things. I mean, yeah, That's how it is.
So, what do you think should happen this season? I'm gonna stay with Hassan first, and I'm gonna hear Osama's opinion as an actual footballer. What do you think should happen this season with the Champions League, the Premier League, the World Cup qualifiers, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, like from what I see, it's really complicated, and it's going to be case by case per league, in my opinion. Some places like in England, I mean, you can pretty much tell who's gonna get the league, who was gonna win it anyways, like Liverpool. But there could be a possibility of instead of canceling this league, maybe extending it into the next season and then just finishing up the last games and then dealing with the next season after that. But it's you're gonna have issues with the transfer window and all kinds of stuff like that. So I mean, it's unprecedented situation, so it's hard to say really.
Osama, so do you think that's realistically going to happen? Do you think they'll actually continue this season into the next one, or do you think it'll be better just to scrap the whole thing and start again, and then having a fresh season that's not affected by this?
As you mentioned, I think it's different. We have to see like each country. For example, the situation in Spain is very bad, and the situation in Portugal is less. So maybe we could continue the league, and in Spain maybe they will delay a lot. But in the Premier League, okay, it was obvious that Liverpool's gonna win. But then, what are you going to do with the teams that will relegate? It's difficult, and also. Now the big teams will survive, but the small teams are dependent on the money of the TV, the revenue of the TV. So without games, they will not receive that, and many teams will be in trouble without that money. So I think, for me personally, it's very important to finish the leagues, but it has to be possible.
Are you guys being...
The lives of the people has to be guaranteed, of course.
Are you guys being updated regularly by the FA of Portugal and being told what's going to happen, or have they don't know either?
They made a plan. They made a plan to start training in 1 month and build it up. First they train the whole pitch, only 4 players, and then they want to build it up to the group training with the whole team. They want to do it like that, but it will delay.
And what would it mean in terms of well, first of all, when you come back in terms of training, are you guys going to have to take time out to do another pre-season to get you fit again, or how long would that take? And if that happens, when's the season going to finish?
It will maybe in July. In July, if the situation will stay like this, then from now it will be better. But if it gets worse, it will delay, and maybe they will even cancel it. But for us, yes, of course, we need to do a pre-season. And normally when we have the summer break, 4 weeks holidays, and then we come back and we do 6 weeks pre-season. And now we will have less time. We will have maybe 2 weeks. And they want to do 10 games. They want to play 10 games in 6 weeks. So
that's pretty much like a game of 2 games every week.
Yes, so it will be very tough, and it's a bit risky because of the injuries, and you only will make 2 weeks of pre-season.
Yeah, so the way I see it is that if you do that, then the next season the players are going to be tired. It's going to create problems in terms of the transfer markets. I understand the implications in terms of financial, but surely you're better off taking a hit this season, and then the next season everyone just is fresh and ready to start properly.
Yes, also, but my opinion personally is to finish the leagues. and finish the leagues. We will finish maybe in July, and then maybe some weeks break for the players to rest, and then for example to plan the games for next season, to have more games in a week.
Okay, so to make next season a bit more intense, to make up for it.
Yeah, I mean, I personally agree with that. Like, it's like this season we still have some games to play. Next season there's nothing, to compromise. Like, there's nothing. It's a clean slate, so you can rearrange like the next coming season, so you can finish this current one, whenever it's possible, and you can do it gradually as things go.
I see where you guys are coming from.
Did you guys hear of that idea of putting all the teams together in a hotel and put them in quarantine and play the games? It will be like a big tournament,
Which hotel is gonna accommodate every team in the world, though?
No, but maybe they are gonna do this in Portugal.
Really? I don't know. I mean, in Portugal, how many teams is there? It's 16, right?
18.
I don't know, man. I don't know if that will make sense.
Not one hotel, but divided and and play the games in one area. Like, choose, let's say, 8 stadiums, and no one will play at home. And you will not play anyway. You will play in an empty stadium.
So how do you feel about that? Because that's going to directly implicate you. Are you okay with that?
For me, I would agree. Yes, I would agree.
The thing
it will be tough, of course, but I think it's a good idea.
For me, as you know, Osama, I'm a massive Man United fan. And for me, Liverpool about to win the league, I would love it. I would love it if they just cancelled the league before that actually happens. So this is one of the reasons I'm very keen to see the league finish.
I mean, for you also have Leeds coming up from the Championship.
Exactly. So 2 in 1, right? Leeds don't come up and Liverpool don't win the league. It's amazing. But I'm worried Osama's right. They're just gonna keep going with the season and Liverpool are gonna be champions, which we can't have that, unfortunately.
And it's all, the main reason is because of the money.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it affects teams like Portuguese League or teams in the Portuguese League a lot more than the Premier League. So I could kind of see why you're saying this. But
even for the Premier League, it's okay. It's much more money, but if you compare it, it's the same. It's about money, because if these clubs will not receive this money of the TV, it's hard to pay the salaries,
I understand that, but the truth is a lot of the Premier League teams will survive. It's the little teams that will be the ones that struggle, go into administration, have to sell their best players. So I understand the argument that the league should continue, but at the same time I still don't want Liverpool to win. So it's a bit difficult. Okay, so Osama, have you seen this whole thing called esports?
No.
Okay, so
of the tournament of FIFA.
Yeah, exactly, right. So instead of showing actual football, since there's no league anymore, no Premier League, no Spanish League, TV shows have been, or TV channels have been playing esports. For those who don't know what that is, it's like a game of FIFA between 2 footballers, and the channel will just broadcast them playing, and it'll show their faces. What do you think of that, Osama?
Oh, they did. In Portugal, the league also organized that.
Did you take part?
Yeah, they did.
How did you do in it?
I didn't play. No, there was another player. My teammate played, and he won.
He won the whole thing?
No, he won the first game. I don't know when it's the next round. But they did it our game, next game, was against Braga. They played
So they're keeping the league the same, yeah?
Yeah.
You don't play PlayStation or FIFA or Pro Evo?
I play.
Are you any good?
I don't know. More or less.
You play FIFA or Pro Evo, though?
FIFA.
Hassan, you play Pro Evo, though, right?
Yeah, I changed from FIFA since like last year or something. I was just so sick
I
of
think I'm gonna change
team and
also.
everything.
Hang on, Osama, you're changing as well.
Yeah, because this game FIFA has many fails.
Ah, okay. So after PlayStation 3, I stopped playing, and it's annoying because that's when all the Iraqi players started being in like FIFA and Pro Evo and stuff. So you're telling me now Pro Evo is going to be the best one? Because I'm thinking of buying a PS5 now.
I mean, you can add like teams to Pro Evo. So like for me myself, like I've added like the Iraqi team, pretty much all of Asia, everything like that. You can also like the player faces, stuff like that.
Really?
You can update that yourself. Even like leagues that are not licensed, you can download the licenses for it, so you can just update it. So if it's like you have like, I don't know if the English league maybe not is not licensed, but then if it's like you can get the actual names, the actual teams, the actual everything. So like that's not even a factor anymore. So
next season, I'm going to be watching you and Osama play, yeah? That's if the league hasn't returned. Okay, hang on. Just Hassan, one question. When you're playing Pro Evo with the Iraq team, do you start Osama or no? Is he on the bench?
No, he's got to start. He's got some good stats. I think it was overall like around 74, 75, which is better than any of the other midfielders in the team. So disappointed with some of the other ratings though. Like I mean, they've got like Bashar Rassan like 63, something like that. Man, I can't do that.
Osama, when you play FIFA,
for sure.
when you play FIFA, do you only pick your team, or do you pick anyone?
No, I pick other teams.
So
I really pick my team because we are shit in FIFA. They're very bad.
So what do you think of your rating as a player?
I think it could be a bit higher. In FIFA, I think I'm now 72 or 3.
How much do you think it should be?
78.
That's a high rating, man. I've not played FIFA, but I'm guessing that's one of the higher
it's
players.
not that high. It's regular.
Fair enough.
Like in the big teams, you will not see players of 78.
Right.
Like it's up 80 and above, or 85 and above.
Fair enough. All right, so Sam, it seems like footballers are still working hard, right? The other day, I got a message from some guy on Twitter, and he asked me, what do you need to make it as a footballer? He's interested in becoming a footballer, but he seems a bit too old, and I was being realistic with him. I was like, I think you're a bit too old to make it professionally. What age do you think it is when a player can just no longer become professional? What's the age that you need to be before you can make it?
It depends if the player on which level the player plays. Depends.
Let's talk like top tier European league.
Like in the academy.
No, let's say if you want to make it into like a Premier League team. What age is it where you it's too late for you to make it pro? Is it like at 12 that's the time where you need to start playing, or how does it work?
No, that's too soon. For example, Derek Kuyt, he was 18 years old and he was playing in an amateur team.
Who's
and
this?
He made it to Liverpool.
Carragher?
Derek Kuyt.
Dirk Kuyt, yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So you think even if you're still like 18, not playing pro, you can still make it? I mean...
Of course. There are many... some players are very late with their development.
So what age were you when you kind of thought, I'm onto something here. I could be a professional footballer?
I was... until 15 years old, I was playing without thinking, without that mindset of being a professional football player. But when I signed my first professional contract, I was 16 years old, and I changed my mindset, and I put my focus on to be a professional football player, and I always believed in myself. Also because I played in the Academy of Feyenoord, which was in the time one of the best in the world.
So what was it like starting your career in a place like Holland, where it's very competitive, very like world renowned for producing top talented players?
It's Holland's like well known because it gives many opportunities to young players, and because of that, it's also very competitive. So it's not that easy.
So do you think it's you're better off starting in Holland or somewhere else and then coming over to like the European leagues?
No, I think in Holland it's because in other countries it's very difficult to get your opportunities as a young player. In Holland, like I said, Holland's known because of this, because they give the young players the opportunities.
So 5 years ago, when we first really started talking properly, you were playing in the second division of Holland. You've been on quite an adventure.
I was in Portugal.
Was it Portugal?
Yeah.
You were in Portugal, second division. Yes, you're right.
2015, right?
Yeah, 2015.
Yeah.
Then you moved to Bulgaria, and then you went back. So you've played in Holland, Bulgaria, Portugal, and you've played for like in Asia as well, for Iraq. How have you found the difference in football across like all these different countries? What's different?
Let's say in Holland it's very tactical and technical. In Portugal it's technical and physical. In Bulgaria, for me, it was technical good and tactical more or less. And when I play in the national team, I know it's physical and players are technical very good, but tactical it's not that good.
Okay, can you explain that in a very basic way for, like, let's say somebody is not very clued up into football, doesn't know much about football. What do we mean when we're talking about like tactical Iraq needs to improve? Because I've heard it from so many players now, but I always struggle to explain it to people. So how would you explain that to somebody?
This tactical part has so many details, but for example, when you're in the pitch, the team has a strategy, and for example, a plan for the game, and the way a player runs, the way a player closes the line of the ball, or the way a player asks for a ball, and also, for example, when I see a player with a man in his back, and I have to decide I will play to his right or left feet. It depends. If you see that the opponent closes his left feet, you have to play his right feet for him to turn and be free. It's things like this. It's many details, but I think it has to do because of the academies. Those things you have to learn in the academies. And as we know in Asia, the academies are not that developed as in Europe.
So,
but the more old you get, it will be difficult, to learn this after 18 years old.
So right, from that we need to find a way to improve it. What would you recommend to like the Iraq FA? How can we find a way to improve this for future generations and future teams?
It's very, very hard because first of all, the FA has they need to have a strategy, and you will need football academies. You will need conditions for the players, facilities, pitches, and good coaches. It's a big process which will take many, many years. But if you will never start with it, you will never reach that goal,
I mean,
but it's pity because Iraqi players have so much talent.
So who would
They
you
have
say
a
are the
lot
best
of talent.
tactical players we have?
I think. Let me think.
Would you say Safa Hadi, for example, Bashar Hassan, Dorgham?
Safa is getting better tactical. Is getting better. He's starting to play very good. And Bashar is tactical good. Bashar is tactical. But I cannot say really names, but
Yeah.
of course for everyone, you can see that if the players had this academy, he would turn a big player.
Yeah, so I
But
think it's the next
because
step
of
for Iraq
missing
football.
that part, it's pity, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a next big step, but it doesn't seem like they will take this step.
well, the way I see it is that we at present produce good players, but I think for
Very
us,
good players.
yeah, but to produce great players, we need to now kind of develop the tactical side of our game, and I think it's more to do with the fine details that this is where we struggle as footballers in terms of what's the right pass to play, where should a player run.
Another solution is to send the players to abroad, but from 14, 15, if you see that the player has talent. But that's the problem. We need to produce them in our country, not in other countries,
I mean, even with that, there's other issues in terms of getting work visas for them when they want to move abroad, and getting the teams abroad to actually find out about the Iraqi players. But that comes,
I don't know.
that takes us to a question from at Nasyaf. He asks us, Osama, what did you make of the few games that Muhammad Ali played for his team?
I think he did good. They like him. I know some people inside the club, and they all spoke positive about him. And
What did they say?
His games also. They said that he has a lot of talent. That if he will continue playing in that team or stay in Europe, he will be a much better player. And but I think it's difficult for him to play now in Portimonense, because Portimonense is in one of the last places. They have very good players, believe me. They have very good players, but as a team, they are not doing very well.
So me and Hassan, we've been watching them quite a bit, but I think that the thing we highlighted as the biggest problem is that they struggle to create chances. And Hassan, what did you make of Muhammad Ali during his few games?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this at length. It's there's not a lot of clicking between the team. Is what I've seen personally, is that not a lot of passes being made, the right passes being made to the strikers, not a lot of crosses that are getting to Muhammad, that kind of thing. A lot of disjointed play, leading to them not getting results, not scoring goals at all. Like they have, out of their strikers, they have maybe 1 or 2 goals.
Yeah, I think the key
player.
word there is disjointed. In fact, when I was watching them, it reminded me a bit of Iraq when you watch Iraq. I mean, right now, tactically, defensively, we're very good. Like, everyone knows what they're doing, etc. But when you see Iraq attacking, I don't know, they don't really click. They don't have this chemistry that you see from the top teams or teams that are in form, where the players just know the right time to make a pass or the right place to pass the ball. But unfortunately, Muhammad Ali's team, they weren't able to do that.
It looks like they are playing without a plan. Yeah. I know, of course, they are playing with a plan, but it's not coming out.
Yeah.
And believe me, as I said, they have very good players, but as a team, they are doing very bad.
But the thing is, though, is that what you mentioned earlier, if Iraq is to progress as a national team, a key thing is that we need players leaving the Iraq and the Gulf and coming to European leagues where they're exposed to this new way of thinking and this new ideas of training and tactics. and this is a good start, I suppose, but we need to see more of it.
Yeah, and that's why I got a lot of respect for Mohamed, because he made that step. I know many are afraid to come to Europe because of the culture, and they will be alone. The language, it's very hard.
So did he contact you before he signed?
Yeah. I spoke with him. He asked me about the club and
What did you say?
asked me for advice. I said for him to go, because if he would stay there in Qatar not playing, it's very bad for his career. And I think by coming to Portimonense, it will open doors here for him in Europe.
Have you guys been like meeting face to face, going out?
No, yes, by the way, yes, because when we play in the area of Port, we stay in the same hotel, and we met there in the same hotel.
Right. So, what about you? That's Mohamed. This season, you've not really been starting as many games. How have you found this season so far?
Not as good as last season, but I think the games I played, I did well, and I had some bad luck because our team was doing not so good, and then I was being suspended because of my fifth yellow card, and from that game the team started to win, and they won 4 games in a row, and of course the coach didn't change the team. You understand?
Yeah, so like they kind of just stuck with what was working for them, which makes sense. Yeah,
I would do the same, of course.
So we have a question from Yes to Iraq. Bit of a, let's say, a controversial question, but I'm going to ask you anyway. He asks, or he says, you're the best Iraq expat we have, so how come you've not been able to replicate your form for the national team? How have you found like the transition from playing from Santa Clara, where you've done amazingly well, to playing for the Iraq national team? What do you think's been the challenges there, or what's been the issues in terms of getting the same quality of football out?
First of all, I don't know if I'm the best expert or Iraqi expert, but thank you. I think. Sorry, what was the question again?
So why or how have you managed to like play so well for Santa Clara, but like we've not seen that same quality Osama Rashid for the national team when you have played? What do you think is the biggest challenges for you in terms of being that good for the national team?
I think in Santa Clara I play with much more confidence, and I know what to do, But when I play for the national team, it looks like I don't know how we say that.
You don't know your role?
I know my role, but it's hard to find that. How you say that? To push the game to me,
Okay. To influence the game.
Yes, influence the game like I do in Santa Clara. So, and as I told, I also never played 4 games in a row for Iraq, so that also made it more difficult.
So you don't get the consistency then.
Yes, and I think, I heard many people saying that I play very bad in the national team, but I think I made some good games. And people expect they are very optimistic. They think this guy plays in Europe and he's doing good in his club. He comes to the national team. Probably will make 4 or 5 goals in 5 games, but that's not realistic.
So what would you say?
Because of my position, because I'm not a striker, I'm not a winger.
So this is exactly what I want to ask you.
Midfielder.
Would you say you're kind of a holding midfielder, a box-to-box midfielder? Where do you see yourself?
I think I'm an all-round midfielder, central midfielder. I can play in front of the defense, to contract the game, or like a box-to-box. I also can play a box-to-box to reach the area of the opponents and score goals, shoot on the goal, give assists.
The thing is, though, you're not the only the expat that's maybe found it hard to replicate their form for their club. What do you think needs to happen in Iraq football for us to actually be able to get the most or the best quality out of our expats for the national team?
It's hard to say, but it's not about the expat, because I think even local players will have not as much as the expats, but I think even local players will have the same problems.
So what kind of problems are we talking about there?
But also local players, for example, they have much more time with the team. For us, it's we will arrive there at the camp like 3 days before game, and then it's hard to know the tactical game, to play with your teammates, to know their qualities and these things.
So my barber, the guy who cuts my hair, he's Iraqi as well. And every time we talk about football, we get into a big argument. He tells me that he likes the local players. He doesn't like having the expat players in the team because he says they play without heart. They only care about, let's say, just making a name for themselves. They don't care about playing for Iraq. What would you say to somebody like this?
I think your barber speaks about something that he doesn't know nothing about.
Which is what I tell him. I also swear at him sometimes.
What I saw from local or expats when they play for the national team of Iraq, they give all. They play also with their heart. So I don't know what he's talking about.
So, what does it mean to play for Iraq? If somebody asks you that, what would you say? They tell you, what does it mean to be Iraqi? What does it mean to be an Iraqi footballer? How would you reply to that?
It's a feeling you cannot describe. For me, when I wear the Iraqi national team jersey, and seeing the Iraqi people supporting us, it's very emotional. And for me, I got more power and more will to play, and it's a feeling hard to describe.
I'm gonna take this question to Hassan actually, because Hassan, you, like me, you're a big fan of Osama Rashid. You're always wondering why he's not featuring regularly in the national team. What do you make of this whole idea that expats don't really play with the same intensity and love for Iraq? How do you see things as a fan, as a neutral?
I mean, personally, just saying that it's about expats, that they don't have the love for the country, or they don't have the care to play for the national team. I think that's just a ridiculous thing to say. I mean, and it's something that said it's not just about expats. There's you hear people say that even about say local players. For example, people will say he'll play 5-6 games and then he'll be looking for his move to the Gulf leagues for the more money. It's it's not something that it's people the fans, they like to talk about all kinds of things, and they always want to look for reasons why a certain player is not performing to what their expectation is. And lots of players, no matter how great they are, with their clubs or even with the national team, they'll have some great games, and the next game after, if they're not performing as well, people will make claims to try to explain it. Even Ali Adnan, he'll play a fantastic game, or even with his club, he'll be excellent, and then he'll come back and he'll get attacked by the fans. No matter the stature of the player, even so, fans, they always they make claims, they make they want to say and they're going to give a reason for why a player, they're not playing at the level that they want them to be. So it's a ridiculous thing to say.
I think Iraqi fans love drama. And
exactly.
The player I was going to mention specifically is Ali Adnan, because he's not an expat. And the way people rip into Ali Adnan is unbelievable. Because, technically, one of our best players. Tactically, I think there's room for improvement. But, the guy plays with his heart and his soul. Every match, whenever you watch him playing, he's so focused on winning. And, you see his face, and Iraq means everything to him. And then fans still turn and just rip him into shreds, saying he only cares about himself, he only cares about his hair, or making money, or Shaif Roha. That's the one they always say, he played in Italy, Shaif Roha. He thinks he's a big shot. And I think we need to just take a step back and just actually watch the football a bit more closely and support the team a bit more. It's as much as I love the Iraq national team, I don't think I would ever want to be a player that plays for Iraq, because it's such a big responsibility. There's as a player, Osama, do you ever feel like you are the only kind of outlet that fans have that makes them happy? Do you feel that as a responsibility, and is that pressure, or do you not think about that side?
It's a big pressure, of course. We have over 40 million Iraqis, and we as Iraqi, we don't have many things in life to be happy because of all the things that's happening in our country. So that's why the people are very happy to see us playing. And I think that when they are watching the national team, they want to see us win, of course, for them to be happy, to celebrate, to be proud of the country. But when we are playing bad, when we are losing, I think it will be the opposite. I think the love will turn into disappointment, and sometimes you have these comments of some people, that are not nice to hear for players, but it's a part of the job, it's normal.
So I want you to kind of paint a picture for the fans listening. When you're an Iraqi player, you're in the changing room and you're about to walk out and play a big game. What's the changing room like? Can you talk to me what happens? Who's the main leaders in the changing room? Who's in charge of music? What are they playing? Are they playing Kadhim Sahir, or are they playing Osama Rashid, or what's going on? Jianak Abhaya, are they playing that?
No. In the bus, we don't have music in the locker room. It's in the bus, or the players are singing, or they put music.
What do they put on? Is it the songs about the team, or just random stuff?
About the team, but also some random stuff, yes.
Have you ever played your music?
No, I didn't. I also didn't play many games, so I have to deserve to turn my music.
Yeah, fair enough. What would you play if you could? One song.
I think I don't know. I really don't know.
All right. So
I think I would put a football song, a Iraqi football song.
Is there any particular one that you like?
I like them all.
Fair enough.
But not one particular. But when we are in the locker room before the game, it's pretty quiet, not many people talking, and at the moment I think Ahmed Ibrahim is the leader. Before it was Nashat and Yunus Mahmoud, and then before going to the game we come together and the coach start to speak and to motivate the team, and then we pray and we go out.
What kind of things do they usually say to motivate you? Is
what always comes back is that over 40 million Iraqis are watching us, and that we have to make them proud, because we play to make the Iraqis proud and to make them happy and to give them joy, and that's the main reason for us to play.
You mentioned something about how it used to be like Yunus Mahmoud and Nashat, and it reminded me of the 2015 Asian Cup. You were there, right? And I want you to talk us through what was going on in your head when it was the Iraq-Iran match, the 3-3. How was that match? That must have been incredible, right?
That match was insane, and I think I didn't play that game, and it was worse on the bench to see that, and it was all craziness, that game.
What were you doing in the penalty shootout? Were you there? Like, do you watch it, or do you turn it the other way?
I was watching, and I remember when Salam Shaka scored the last goals, we started to scream and cry, and also one of the highlights of my career, for sure.
Would you say that's the best moment for you in terms of being an Iraqi player?
I don't know, because I didn't play, but keeping the part of not playing out, I think yes.
Okay. So what would you say is like where you were playing? What was your best kind of moment as a Iraqi player? Was it making your debut or?
Yes, for sure. I think making my playing against Brazil, my first game, and then my official first game against Jordan with Zico was the coach. Yes.
You've come such a long way in your career. I mean, you went from that game where you made your debut for Iraq, and then you've kind of transitioned to Santa Clara, where you're playing against huge teams every single week in the Portuguese league. So, I mean, what's next for your career? Are you looking to stay in Portugal? Are you looking to move abroad? There was a while back there was talks of you moving to Spain. There was at times discussions about you signing for Benfica. What's next for Osama Rashid?
It's hard to say now because of this crisis. First of all, I would like to finish the 10 games we still have, if it's possible, and then I would like to make another step, of course, but if not, I would be happy continue playing for Santa Clara, of course.
And that kind of leads me to this question by, I think it's Aryan Auzad. He says, when do you see yourself retiring?
I hope after, 28, I hope I will play 5 more years professional football.
And at least. What do you think you'll do afterwards? Are you going to stay in football? Are you going to start your own business or become a coach?
I've been studying marketing and management, but I would love to continue working in football, like a job in management of a club, something like scout or sports director.
Would you not be interested in like coaching or becoming a manager?
No.
Why is that?
No. I would love to. I would love to be the assistant coach, but as a coach, not, because we as players, we have much personal responsibility, and I think after my football career, I'm not waiting to be a coach and have again the same pressure and responsibility.
You want to just kind of take it easy and just go like the lighter kind of route of football.
Yes, yeah.
One final question from me, just regarding the Iraq national team. Who were you actually close friends with? I know for me, I've not seen enough of you, unfortunately, the national team as I would like. I think you should be there much more frequently, but from the times you have been with the national team, who have you kind of bonded with? Who were you in regular contact with, etc.?
I think the most with Justin Merrim, but I think mostly with the expats. I have to confess, but overall, I think I'm good with all the players. But with Justin Merrim, I also speak, like besides the national teams, we also speak outside that, and sometimes with Rebin and France.
The thing with the expats is whenever I speak to them, they seem to kind of mostly just interact with each other. Do you think that's because of the language issues, or do they not feel welcomed by the other players, or why does that seem to be the case with the expats only hanging out together?
No, it looks like, but I think in the team we're hanging out with everyone. That looks like from outside, but I think it's not true. We are more together with the expats, but it's not that big difference.
Fair enough.
And it's not interrupting anyone, so...
Okay, so I think just going off football.
Now, another player who's made a recent move that is Franz Butros, the Iraqi defender. He was playing for Hobro in Denmark in the first division. He's recently made a step down to Viborg, also in Denmark, but in the second tier of the Danish league. And I'm delighted to actually be joined by Franz. We're going to be discussing his move and the reason why he made the transition to his new club and what it means for him to be Iraqi.
You know how to pick these shows.
Do you know what, man? I take. Well, this is why I'm asking you guys. I want some advice. What's worth watching?
La Casa de Papel, for sure.
What?
You didn't see La Casa de Papel?
No, I've not even heard of that. What's that?
You're kidding me.
No, La Casa de Papel. Is that? I'm guessing that's a Spanish show or something.
It's on Netflix. Do you have Netflix?
Yeah.
Yeah, I will send you after, but the whole world knows La Casa de Papel.
I'll be honest with you, bro. I never watch TV. The reason is
it's not TV, it's Netflix.
No, I know, but like I never watch series. The reason is like you end up watching one episode and then you sit there for like another 10 hours trying to watch the whole season.
Yes, mate. I don't have a lot of patience also for stuff.
Yeah, exactly. The story never finishes. For me, I watch mostly movies because you watch the film and then after 90 minutes you know the entire story and that's it. They don't keep you waiting for anymore.
And I just saw a film on Netflix. It's a Turkish movie called The Miracle of Cell Number 7.
It's good?
It's very good, yeah.
The Miracle of Cell Number 7. I'm going to check it out.
You will cry for sure, but you have to see it.
I'll take your word for it. Hassan, give us some recommendations, man. It seems like you know a bit more about TV shows than I do.
Man,
Hassan, do you know La Casa de Papel or not?
Yeah. I mean, it's maybe it's because of the name. Because out here, it's Money Heist.
They say Money Heist.
Yeah. You see, I've heard of Money Heist. I've seen people on Instagram like sharing it, but I've never actually seen it. What's it about?
I think Hassan can explain that.
I mean, I've only watched like the first like three episodes, so I mean, no, it's I mean, I don't know. I'm not
okay, is Osama saying the truth when he says it's good?
A group of 10 people. They call themselves like cities around the whole world, like Rio, Denver, Lisbon, and they are planning to rob the National Bank of Spain.
Right. Okay.
And their leader is the professor, and he's like responsible for the plan.
Okay, Osama, this is going to be the third show I watch. The last two have been terrible. I hope this one's going to be good.
No, this one will be very good.
Okay. Guys, any closing thoughts? Any final messages for the fans to keep them going for the next month or so?
Not really. Like everyone says, stay at home, wash your hands, and I think the people are tired to hear this.
Well, guys, I think so. On that note, yeah, just stay safe, rest, recover, do some reading, be productive, and I think we'll leave it there. Osama, Habibi, thank you so much. It's been amazing catching up with you. It's been so long. And I wish you all the best. I wish you guys safety in this weird time in the world. And yeah, I hope to be in touch with you soon. Hassan as well. Thank you so much for joining us once again from all the way from Canada, guys. Where can fans contact you and where can they hear you? Osama, what's your Instagram or Twitter?
It's Osama Rashid 8.
And on Instagram, it's Osama Rashid 92, right?
No, it's on Twitter.
Okay.
On S, it's Osama Rashid 8, and then Twitter is Osama Rashid 92.
Yeah. And Hassan?
Yeah, well, not much of a following, but on Twitter, Hassan _1193. Try to build something up there, but yeah.
All right, guys. So I've changed the username for the Twitter and the Instagram. Just made it one kind of word. Now it's at Iraq Football Pod. I want to hear from you guys. Get in touch. Follow the social media accounts. We want to build something special, and yeah, just stay safe and try to survive the next month. Anyway, yalla ya Iraq.
We will. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Osama. Bye.